Here it is. Thank God I found it when I did.
Cosmic Jess?
Who's Jess? I'm Jen. You're Cosmic Jess, admin of the secret astrology mailbox. Quit the act. I know it's you. I've read your notebook. Your astrological analyses are incredible. You sure did your homework on the boys I told you I want to conquer. You're my idol. Huh? Oh, turns out our hot girl Kira here, she's the weird girl who asked me, or should I say, my alias Cosmic Jess, to help her flirt with guys. Ugh, but out of all people, why does it have to be her who found out about my identity? She knew too much. Let's be friends, okay? I'll keep your secret. I swear. Okay, but no one can ever know about this. Secret friendship. I get it. Was it a friend request or a contract? I shouldn't be friends with the resident hot girl, but it seems like I didn't have much choice. If anyone finds out that I'm Cosmic Jess, then I'll be kicked out of the astrology admin group. Hey, are you blind or something? Can't you see the road? I picked up my books in silence. It's best if I don't get involved with this attention seeker. I was about to leave when Rebecca grabbed my hand. You can't just leave. You broke my new iPhone screen, so I want to know what you're going to do about it. Is your head just for decoration or what? As you're acting like a brainless brat. What are you looking at? Don't you know who I am? And why are you rolling your eyes? Kira didn't stop there. By the time she'd finished taunting Rebecca, she caused her to run off crying. Then Kira winked at me and walked off. A famous, cute Leo wants to be my friend. I guess that's not a bad thing, right? Beneath her competitive and brash exterior, Kira is actually a warm and optimistic girl. No surprise, though, as Leos are extremely dedicated and sincere. She even gave me this beautiful white dress, just 'cause she said it'd complement my skin tone. Oh no! Now I've ruined it! Stupid ketchup bottle! I rushed to the bathroom to try and fix it. Jasmine, give me the soap bar! SOS!
Here!
Oh my God, what? Through the curtains, I saw the silhouette of a tall boy showering.
You should stop breaking into the bathroom like that. We have a new tenant. Wait, can I please finish up here before we have formal introductions?
Jasmine apologized to him, then dragged me out of there. Turns out that's Mark, my older brother David's classmate, and he would be staying with us while he completed his internship. Mark walked out of the shower not long after that, and oh my God, he was gorgeous. Look at that sun-kissed skin, lean muscles, and bright smile. Thank you, universe. He introduced himself, but my ears were ringing, and I couldn't hear a thing. Cupid had hit me. He even helped me clean up the ketchup all over the kitchen carpet and floor. What a nice guy. Then when the coast was clear, I snuck into David's room and rummaged around, trying to find some more info about this hot friend of his. There it was. Mark was born on May 22nd. So he's a Gemini. A perfect gift for an Aquarius girl. I went to school with a spring in my step. Oh, what a glorious day! I hurriedly lined up as I heard the coach's whistle. News on the grapevine was that we had a very handsome new basketball coach. Oh, come on. How could a coach be handsome? But, oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. Mark, the dreamy Gemini guy from my house, was also my new coach. What more proof did I need that this was destiny? After school, I was about to tell Kira about my destiny when she gave me info about her new target, a Taurus boy. This was the second time in a month. I was about to lecture her, but then she bribed me with the new Jan Spiller book. So, I took a look at their birth charts. Interesting. After so many mismatched attempts, Kira may have found her perfect match. But after a week of trying to impress this guy, Kira failed miserably. This Taurus guy doesn't like my enthusiasm. I just don't get it. I've shown him how kind I am by helping people out, and I even changed my style for him. I actually tried on this vintage knee-length dress that smelled like mothballs, and he didn't glance at me once. Let me check. I just don't understand how it can be wrong. Okay, let me go get some snacks. I recalculated and redrew the chart, but still couldn't figure it out. Maybe he already had a girlfriend? Or perhaps he wasn't into girls. In this case, I couldn't help at all. Just had to close this Leo-Taurus case and open up the Aquarius-Gemini love story. I flipped through my chart and Mark's. We matched perfectly. And I just drew hearts around the picture of him glued on it. Ah! I have shocking news, Jen! Kira's piercing scream startled me. Why the hell is the gym teacher downstairs in your house talking to Jasmine? Oh, he's staying in David's room for a while. What? Why didn't you tell me that hot news? Wait, what's in your notebook? Don't tell me it's Mark, okay? I quickly turned around to get the notebook, but Kira was faster. So, you also like Mark. That's why you gave me the advice to be an idiot in front of him, right? Huh? Your Taurus guy is Mark? Of course, I didn't know that. I mean, he's not even a Taurus. Yes, he is. But you knew this. Now you're trying to trick me with your false info so you can find out more about him. If you want, I'll leave him to you. I'm not that needy. Not like you. Unbelievable! Do you really think you would have been able to pick those ex-boyfriends of yours up without my advice? Duh! I'm a beauty queen. You're just helping me speed things up. Beautiful, but boring. The personality that won over all those guys was built by me. That's not who you are. Boring? How dare you? I'll show you just how far from boring I am. Kira then left. Okay, fine. She's living in La La Land about herself. Talk about delusional. Poof, I don't need such an unreasonable friend. At the same time, I received a ton of notifications from the secret mailbox. Oh no, my pictures and info were leaked all over the forum. I quickly logged into the administrator account. Ugh, anonymity was the #1 rule of the group, so now they'd kicked me out. My favorite job, my fans. Kira, this was too much. Fine, you want to play dirty? I'll show you dirty. It's time Kira's long list of boyfriends went public on the school forum. Kira the Omnivore was the new nickname that students gave her. Oh well, it was her fault for flirting with 12 guys in just half a year. Was she trying to find a boyfriend from each of the 12 Zodiac signs or something? Let's end this stuff. It's because of Mark, right? You'll never have him. He's mine. Fine. If you can win his heart in a month, then I'll apologize for lying about your boyfriend collection. If not, you have to write a post claiming that I'm not Jess. Okay, mark your own words. Kira is a competitive girl, but in this fight, I would definitely win. I mean, come on, she couldn't even get Mark's star sign right. Even though she's a terrible cook, Kira still tried to send some disgusting cakes that she made to my house for him. But of course, Mark threw them in the trash after the first bite. She also feigned feeling faint and fell into his arms in every basketball lesson. Mark looked so uncomfortable. Not surprising, really, seeing as he's 100% Gemini, not Taurus, so her fragile girl act wouldn't work on him. As for my relationship with him, well, that was coming along nicely. And thanks to our assigned star signs, all I had to do was just be myself. For instance, the other night, when I just happened to mention there was a shooting star, he enthusiastically made me and Jasmine go along and watch it. Then last weekend, he invited me and her to a friend's farm, which was so much fun. I saw the cute looks he was giving me, So if Jazz hadn't been there, he definitely would have confessed his love to me. And it was true that I didn't have to wait long, as that night, I suddenly heard a knock on my door. How sweet! He'd left a movie ticket for me. Huh, take that, Kira. I knew I'd won this one. I'm so gonna take a picture of us holding hands in the cinema and send it to Kira. The night after, I didn't see Mark at home, so I guess he wanted me to meet him at the movies? This was so romantic. I was in the right seat, but he wasn't here yet. My heart was beating so fast that I thought it would explode. As the movie started, the lights went out, and that's when someone was approaching my row of seats. I nervously pretended to be staring at the screen when he came to sit next to me.
Why are you here?
Huh? More like, what are you doing here? The two of us watched the whole film together in anger and impatience. Who on earth arranged all of this? We huffed our way out of the cinema, then spotted Mark. Only he was holding hands with a girl. Jasmine? We chased after them, but Jasmine just shrugged and smiled. So all this time, he'd been trying to win Jasmine's heart, not mine. Then he walked over to us and handed me his card.
Go get yourself some ice cream, pizza, anything. Have fun. I'll be back with Jasmine later.
What was that about? I looked at the credit card and gasped when I saw Timon's signature in the corner. How could I forget Geminis have multiple personalities? Timon was the founder of the astrological mailbox. Who would have thought that the leader of this group would be a teacher? Someone I lived with, my sister's boyfriend, my crush, and even my bestie's crush. Kira gave me a comforting look. Now we were both lovelorn, but in true Leo style, Kira had already lined up her next prey. Don't be sad. It's just another test. What zodiac sign do you think that guy is? He's pretty good looking, so he must be a Libra, right? I chuckled, then leaned my head on her shoulder. Mark, or should I say Timon, made me realize that before I can hope to find my dream match, I need to make some mistakes first. I may not have found love, but I did have my friend back, so that counted for something, right? At least the test of friendship worked.
This just in. Due to the new wave of COVID-19, the authorities are imposing a nationwide lockdown, which is expected to last 2 weeks. The lockdown will begin at midnight.
Oh no, I have to get back to my dorm.
We shouldn't waste any more time talking about this jerk anyway. I grabbed my stuff in a rush. Then suddenly, the doorbell rang. I'll be back in 1 second. Steven went to answer the door, while I had no choice but to wait for him. Gosh, this whole pandemic situation was so worrying, and I was already not in the mood for any more bad news. From the living room, I could hear the voice of whoever was standing outside the door. Hey, any chance I can crash here for a bit? Sure, but just get your life together soon, will you? Gabe? Gabe turned to look at me. His eyes widened when he realized who I was, and he awkwardly looked away from me. So you two know each other? Steven looked at us confused. There was an awkward silence between us three before he continued. So, Janet, this is Gabe. He's my friend from the college hockey team. Gabe, this is Janet, my good friend from high school. Jeez, this had reached new levels of uncomfortable. Gabe cleared his throat. Ahem. So, where do I sleep, Stevie? Then he headed straight to the bedroom that Steven pointed to while yawning, saying he's going to sleep first. Steven laughed and turned to me, saying, He's always like that. We were quite close back in college. He comes and sleeps over sometimes. I stuttered out, Steven, that's the guy I was just telling you about. The one that ghosted me. Steven gave me this astonished look, but he didn't say anything. Ugh, I so wasn't in the mood for this. I think it's best if I go. And right when I thought it couldn't get any worse, a phone call came. Upon seeing me pretty much freaking out as I took the call, Steven must have sensed something was wrong. He asked me as soon as I was off the phone, Is everything okay? It's my roomie. She just told me there's been a positive case in our dorm. I can't go back until quarantine is over. Oh no, what am I supposed to do? All my stuff is in my dorm room, and I can't drive all the way back to my hometown. It's like forever, and it's late already. I wouldn't make it anywhere before the lockdown, and staying in some hotels for 2 weeks was surely not a smart choice.
Janet, you can stay here.
Stephen gently smiled at me.
Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. I can prepare the couch for you, so you don't have to go sleep in my bedroom.
Aw, he remembers I have slight claustrophobia and feel uncomfortable in small rooms. I was about to reply, but he stopped me, then immediately walked over to the couch and started rearranging it. This was cute, and I did feel touched. Guess I'm staying here for quarantine. I mean, this would be fine, but Gabe was here too. What a small world, and what an awkward situation I'm in. But what choice do I have? The first night, Stephen stayed in the living room with me, and we talked a lot.
Do you ever wish we were still back in high school? Things seemed simpler then, didn't they?
Sometimes. It helped that back then I had the sweetest boyfriend. Do you remember when you got the cheerleading team to perform a special routine for my birthday? That's the cutest thing anyone's ever done for me. Stephen grinned.
Well, I tried. We were so happy back then. Then college got in the way.
Hey, it's not all bad. We're still great friends. Stephen smiled back gently.
Very true.
It felt good taking a trip down memory lane with Stephen. He used to be a sweet and caring boyfriend, and he still was such a guy. No matter what, being around him made me feel safe. We continued talking until dawn, then fell asleep. Much later in the morning, I woke up to the sounds of the fridge door slamming. Through blurred eyes, I made out that it was Gabe. He glared over at me before he stormed off back to his room. Ugh! Why did he hate me so much? Then I saw that he'd left pancakes on the table. Oh, these must be for Stephen, so I took them over to him. He was eating them as Gabe reappeared.
Hey Gabe, thanks for the pancakes.
Gabe grunted out a, yeah, then gave me a dirty look before he walked off again. I tried my best to avoid Gabe, but this wasn't easy when I was stuck in a small apartment with him. I spent most of my time reading a book or listening to music. Yeah, we had history, which I just finished telling Stephen the moment before Gabe rang the doorbell. We dated for a month. Everything was cool, and I started to like him a lot. And whoosh, he disappeared. Janet ghosted. I was still very sad and didn't want to deal with any of this yet. Did the universe set up this surreal quarantine situation so I could get over this being ghosted thing? Then after that, when Stephen was in the shower, Gabe walked over to me and passed me a candy bar. I put my book down and took it from him, but only because I didn't want to be rude. Then he awkwardly perched on the edge of the couch and said, what's the deal with you and Stephen? This annoyed me, so I blurted out, it's none of your business. Oh, please. I could already tell there's something going on the moment I walked in. Then, before I could reply, he continued, fine by me. Makes sense for a girl like you would fall for a playboy. Stephen is a good guy. He let you stay here, didn't he? So maybe you should think twice before you badmouth him in the future. Gabe grabbed the candy bar off me, then stood up. His cheeks were puffed out with anger, and he looked like he was going to explode. That's when Stephen appeared and tried to defuse the situation. He led Gabe out of the room, but after that, I was too mad to read. So I sat there overthinking things and feeling even more annoyed than ever. Dinner was awkward. We all sat around the table in deadly silence, and Gabe and I avoided making eye contact. I felt bad that Stephen was stuck in the middle of this situation. He didn't deserve this. As I was washing up, I overheard Gabe say to Stephen, can you give us some space? I need to talk to Janet in private. Stephen went off to his bedroom. Then Gabe waited till I'd finished, then asked me to go out to the balcony with him. Look, Janet, you're smart, beautiful, and very independent. I fell for you right on the first date. Ugh, right. Good luck fooling me one more time. I'm so over it. Seeing that I wasn't taking him seriously, Gabe continued. I really mean it. That's why you're totally out of my league. I was too cowardly to tell you this, so I decided it'd be best to just disappear and let you forget about me. What? Was he being real? I had no idea he thought that way. He apologized for what he did, and I told him I forgave him. Okay, so maybe Gabe wasn't so bad after all. He's just really insecure. This sucks, as we got on so well. After our conversation, I felt less awkward around Gabe. He started doing cute things for me, such as leaving snacks with a little sticky note that had some cute doodles on it on my pillow, bringing me juices, and showing me funny memes on his phone. I mean, this didn't make up for what he did, but we were confined in a small space together, so politeness doesn't hurt, right? But then Steven started being weird. Whenever Gabe did anything nice, Steven would tut, snort, and on a few occasions, mutter out some rude comments such as, "From ghosting to stalker. Nice." Why was he being like this? Hey, don't tell me that he's jealous of Gabe. Great. Out of the frying pan, into the fire. Then, one lunchtime, Gabe made us French onion soup. As he passed it to me, Steven shook his head and, laughing, said, "That stinks. This is a poor attempt to impress Janet. FYI, she hates onions." What do you mean? I'm not trying to impress anyone. Oh, please. I know you still have feelings for Janet, but you're no match for her. I watched them with a poker face, since I couldn't process what was going on. Then Steven turned to me, boldly said, "Janet, so many things have happened and changed, but one thing is still solid. That's my feelings for you. Don't waste your time with this kid." Wow, I sat there perplexed. What was that? And wasn't Steven a little too mean there? This was a side of him I hadn't seen before, and I didn't like it. Stevie, what is this? I thought we were bros. Yeah, relax, we are. Look, we both like Janet, so she just needs to decide who she wants. So, who's it gonna be? OMG, this is just like that Twyla Saga situation. I have to choose between two totally different guys. Ugh, I hate it. Both this situation and that series. And honestly, I don't like the immature way they're acting now. How dare you two create this whole dilemma by yourself and put me in the middle of it? I choose neither of you, okay? You both had a chance with me and you both let me go. I want to stay friends, but that's it. I stormed off, thinking this would be the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. One time, I was watching a movie alone and got up to go to the bathroom. When I came back, they were both sitting on the couch, arguing with each other about who should stay and sit with me and who should go. Fed up, I shouted, "Will you both quit it already? You left me for college, and you for your own insecurities. And neither of you is acting like a grown man. I want a boyfriend who I can rely on, and that's definitely neither of you. As far as I'm concerned, any romantic feelings I had toward you both are well and truly in the past." They both gave me stunned looks, and more awkward silence prevailed. Was it a bit harsh on them? Even so, they still needed to know my feelings so they'd stop their own illusions and stop fighting in vain. Luckily, quarantine was almost over, so at least I'll be out of this smothering apartment in 2 days. Oh boy, that was the longest 2 days ever. No one spoke to each other, and the atmosphere was awful. When it finally ended, I muttered out a quick thank you and hurried to the door. Janet, we are still friends, right? Yeah, you're still my friend too, yeah? Steven and Gabe impatiently longed for my reply, but I just smiled at them both and left. The truth is, I'm not sure I want to be friends with either of them anymore. The last 2 weeks were so weird and messed up that I can't think of anything further. So, for now, I'm just gonna enjoy the relief of getting out of that bizarre being stuck with two exes scenario first, right?
Ouch! My head felt like it had been hit with a brick. Why was the room so bright? And what were those monotonous beeping sounds? Was this a hospital? I used up all my strength to pull myself into a sitting position. Then a nurse walked into the room. Why am I here? I stuttered out in confusion. She smiled over at me and replied, "Oh, you're awake. What a miracle! Both you and your baby are fine now." Huh? What on earth was she talking about? My look must have said it all, as her smile dropped. "Honey, you were in an accident and lost a lot of blood. You've been in a coma for the last month. And as you're pregnant, there was a worry that both of you wouldn't make it. But it's all okay now." What? I've been asleep for a whole month? Concerned, I asked her. "My parents, where are they?" "Oh, they're so busy, so they asked us to take care of you," she said as she fluffed out my pillows. Yeah, that sounds about right, as my parents were always busy. They hated wasting time, on me especially. I put my hand on my swollen stomach and tried to recall the accident, but why couldn't I remember it? Come to think of it, I didn't even remember who the daddy was. A sharp pain shot through my head, so I clutched it with both hands. Then I cried out to the nurse, "Why don't I remember anything?" Seeing this, the nurse hurried off to find a doctor. Tests were carried out, and guess what? Turns out I have short-term memory loss. The following days on my sickbed, I had nothing to do but think. Finally, a memory came to me. It was me and my bestie, Cecilia. There was Christmas music playing, and we giggled as we prepared wasabi-covered cookies to trick our friends. Now it's summer already? Ugh! So that meant I'd already graduated. Suddenly I heard footsteps. It was Cecilia! In the doorway with a huge bouquet of sunflowers. I can't even begin to explain how good it felt to see her. We hugged for like 100 times. Then, unable to contain my patience, I eagerly jumped into the question. "Now, please tell me everything. Why was I in an accident? And who's the baby's daddy? I mean, she's my bestie, so if anyone knew anything, I figured it'd be her, right?" But to my dismay, she just shook her head. "Sorry, Dora. I don't know anything about the accident. But, the dad's probably Louis." I spluttered out in surprise. "What? Louis, as in the Star Wars geek from math class? So, turns out Louis and I have been in love for a while." She also said she'd been shocked at first when a rebellious girl like me fell for a straight-A student like him. Louis? Really? Me and Louis? If so, then why hasn't he visited me? Seeing how dumbfounded I looked, Cecilia continued. "Look, I think you should go find Louis and sort this out." So, as soon as I was discharged from the hospital, I went around to Louis's house. He answered the door and gave me this dirty look. "What do you want? We're through, like ages ago." Then he slammed the door in my face. This was confusing and annoying. He's the reason I can't get into my favorite pants. He needs to man up. So I went back to his house the next day, adamant I would have answers. Only his mom answered the door and said he was at college. I drove there and spotted him walking across campus. Fuming, I charged up to him and grabbed his arm. "Louis, if you walk away from me again, I swear I will scream." He looked super uncomfortable, but had no choice but to follow me to a nearby coffee house. At first, the silence was awkward. I just couldn't stop staring at the gross shirt he was wearing. What did I ever see in this guy? But then he spoke up. "Talk already. I have an important assignment due tomorrow." I slammed my fists onto the table and yelled out, "I'm pregnant! And it's yours!" "What? Impossible!" His eyes popped. "Oh, so you think you can just shirk your responsibilities by some words like that?" How many months are you?" "Well, Louis,
I'm 3 months pregnant." He let out a sigh of relief.
Now that's clear. We broke up 4 months ago. It's definitely not mine. Must be Kai's.
Kai? Who's Kai? I was seriously confused. Had he made up this guy just to get off the hook?
This is just typical of you.
He snarled at me.
Kai is the biker dude you cheated on me with.
After that, he gulped back his drink, then growled out,
"Goodbye, Dora,"
then left. Oh boy, this was a lot to take in. Didn't know what to do. I sent Cecilia a message asking if she was free to talk, and the okay message from her arrived within a minute. When I arrived at her house, I saw a man leaving on his bike. So as soon as she answered the door, I winked at her. Who is that guy? Don't tell me he's your new BF. Cecilia gave me a sheepish look. Nah, just an acquaintance. Then she quickly pulled me inside. So, what happened with Louis? I want to know everything. Dropping myself on the couch, I sighed and told her all about my not-so-pleasant encounter with my ex. Wow, he's such a jerk. Cecilia, do you think I need to go see this Kai? Maybe he's the father. No! She interrupted me. I mean, you barely know the guy. I raised my eyebrow. Do you know him? Cecilia looked like a rabbit caught in headlights. Okay, this was odd. Was she hiding something? I was about to press her for more information when suddenly we heard the door open.
Oops, I forgot my phone.
A cute guy in bike leathers walked in. Was he the guy I'd just seen leaving? Then he gave me this puzzled look.
Dora! Huh? Why aren't you in Italy?
I must have been giving him a funny look, as he rubbed his head, then continued.
How could you just leave without saying a word?
I'm sorry, do you know me? He looked puzzled.
Huh? What are you saying? It's me, Kai.
I froze, and my heart was about to break free from my chest. Kai? You're Kai? The father of my baby? Kai glared at me.
What baby? What are you talking about?
None of this made sense to me either, so I just blurted out, there was an accident, and now I'm suffering from memory loss. I can't remember anything. Well, anything that happened after last Christmas. And, yeah, I'm also pregnant. As soon as I finished speaking, Kai turned to look at Cecilia, who was nervously chewing on her nails.
Cecilia, why did you tell me that Dora was studying in Italy?
She pleaded out. Kai, please. I just don't want you to be caught up in her mess. You deserve better than this. Than her. What? So Cecilia had been lying to me all along? While she actually knew who the father was? Gosh, what kind of friend is that? I was about to scream at her. Then Kai said,
Anyway, Dora, I'm sorry, but the baby can't be mine, as we've only kissed and nothing more.
The room started spinning. I rushed outside. I needed some time alone to process this. Honestly, it felt like the whole world was against me. My memory had failed me. My parents didn't care. My best friend had betrayed me. And now I had no recollection of who my baby's father was. What a tragic mess I was. I arrived home in the worst mood possible. But my parents were still too busy on their laptops to notice it. In a cold tone, Mom just said,
Have you figured out who's the father yet?
I silently shook my head. Dad snorted.
God, all you use your head for is a hat rack or what? You got yourself in this, so just go solve it yourself.
Ugh, why did they talk as if they ever cared to help me? Please, I've always solved things on my own. Frustrated, I stormed right off to my room. I was sitting by the window, staring out into the void, when my phone beeped. It was Cecilia. Just the thought of her drove me mad, so much that I flung the phone onto the floor without even checking the text. Then came another beep, so I bent down to pick it up, when suddenly I saw something poking out under my bed. It was a lighter with the name Stanley engraved in it. Hang on. Stanley. That did ring some bells. I remember now. Lewis broke up with me 4 months ago. But not because of Kai. No, it was because he was going to a prestigious college and he thought my carefree attitude would cramp his style. Embracing my new single life, I drove to Key West Island and partied hard for a few days. And that's when I met Stanley at a bar. So he was the father. But now what? I mean, I had no way of contacting him. But even if I could find him, then what? I didn't love him. I didn't even know the guy. And I didn't want to be attached to him just for the baby. And when I came back to town, I grew closer to Kai. Only Cecilia didn't like this. So she confronted me at school and insisted that I'd stolen her man. I rolled my eyes and told her, "You're ridiculous. Kai doesn't even like you. He likes me." The next thing I remembered was firm hands pressing against my back, and then I slipped and fell down the stairs. And the rest is history. Ugh! Cecilia was such a heartless monster! Her jealous rage could have killed me and my baby. I patted my belly. Thank God we were both okay. I just needed to figure out what I was going to do now. So, after many days of thinking, I decided what I'm going to do. I want to be a single mother. Hey, I know I can do this. There's no way I'll be as bad as my parents are, which is why I'm here looking for some books on parenting. Ugh, why do they put these books so high up? It's so inconsiderate. Right on cue, someone came to my rescue, reached up and grabbed the book I wanted, then passed it to me. I was about to thank this kind-hearted Samaritan when, hang on, Kai. I put the book down and hurried out of there without saying a word. He shouted after me, but I didn't look back. I just didn't want to be dragged into this drama between Kai and Cecilia. Being through one coma was enough. The next day, I was scrolling through a baby name site when Mum shouted that there was someone at the door for me. I went downstairs to see Kai, standing there with heavy bags in both hands. He gave a coy look and said, "This is for you. And the baby." This made me feel uneasy. I mean, I felt so bad for him. Seeing my reaction, he continued, "I should have told you how I felt from the beginning, and then things would have been different. I like you. I mean, I really do. I love you, Dora, and I want to raise this baby with you." I couldn't believe Kai still loved me, even when I'm carrying another man's baby. He's willing to welcome this baby with all his heart. In that case, I suppose you better come in. I smiled at him while holding the door open. Okay, so sometimes life likes to throw crazy surprises at you. But hey, they make sure things are more interesting. I'm sure it won't shock you to learn that I don't talk to Cecilia or Lewis anymore. Poof, those losers don't deserve me. As for Kai, we now live together, and we can't wait for the baby to arrive. But tough luck, Kai, as there's no way we're calling them Kai Jr.
Semua jalan tertutupi salju. Tak seorang pun dengan pikiran waras akan pergi keluar di cuaca seperti ini. Tapi suara gedoran di pintu itu terus saja terdengar. Dan makin lama, makin keras. Apa mungkin itu Yeti? Ku dekap selimutku dan berharap itu akan berhenti. Tapi tentu saja tidak. Aku juga tak bisa tidur dengan kebisingan yang bikin panik ini. Yeti atau bukan, aku harus memeriksanya. Jadi, aku merayap mendekati pintu. Rasa panik melandaku. Dan dengan tangan gemetar, aku membuka pintunya sedikit. Hah? Trevor? Ya, itu bukan monster salju. Itu Trevor yang hampir pingsan karena dingin. Tapi kedua tangannya masih berpegang erat pada sesuatu. Gemetaran dia berkata, Ini dia. Pakai lagi beberapa pakaianmu. Kau nanti masuk angin. Kemudian dia memberikan koperku. Oh Tuhan, kau gila Trevor. Kau ini yang bakal masuk angin sekarang. Aku segera mendudukannya di sofa dan menempatkan selimut di tubuhnya. Lalu dengan cepat membuka koperku. Ini dia senjata rahasiaku, penghangat badan. Aku memberinya beberapa dan mengambilkan mantel lain yang tak terkena salju. Ini, minum ini dulu. Akan kubuatkan secangkir coklat. Aku mulai menuangkannya secangkir air hangat dari botol termosku. Tapi dia menghentikanku. Li, lis, listriknya, padam. Ujarnya gemeteran. Pantas, itu menjelaskan kenapa rasanya seperti di freezer di dalam sini. Kalau begitu tak ada coklat panas. Hei, jadi aku ini autumn dan ini adalah bagian kedua dari ceritaku. Jika kalian belum lihat bagian ke-1, silakan kalian cek. Jangan terkecoh dengan namaku. Pastinya sedang musim dingin di Texas di sini. Dan badai ini sungguh gila. Sayang aku terjebak di pondok berlibur bersama dengan sahabatku yang pengkhianat si Lilian, kembarannya yang pembohong Seth, dan cewek rahasianya si Charlie. Ternyata Lilian hanya menginginkan pakaian Chicagoku, dan yang lainnya kecuali Trevor terlibat di dalamnya. Kembali ke Trevor. Karena aku tak menginginkan kematiannya dalam pengawasanku, jadi kugosok lengannya untuk menghilangkan rasa dingin. Ketika dia terlihat sedikit lebih tenang, aku menaikkan alis dan bertanya padanya, "Kenapa kau pergi keluar begini?" Begini, listriknya mati. Aku tahu akan terasa seperti Antartika bagimu di sini tanpa pemanas. Jadi aku mau pergi ambilkan kopermu. Tapi akhirnya aku terkunci di luar, jadi aku tak ada pilihan lain kecuali membangunkanmu untuk masuk. Maafkan aku." "Kamu minta maaf untuk apa? Kau hanya bertindak agak bodoh." Setelahnya, kami ngobrol banyak. Jujur saja, aku sangat tersentuh dengan apa yang dilakukannya. Sementara yang lain masih tidur terlelap, disinilah dia, memikirkanku dan mempertaruhkan nyawanya untuk menolongku. Oke, jadi mungkin aku sedikit kasar padanya tadi saat dia mengaku kalau dia menyukaiku. Tapi kan, bisa saja tadi dia hanya menggodaku. Maksudku, aku punya alasan valid untuk tak lagi percaya ke semua orang yang seatap denganku. Kurasa aku pasti tertidur karena keesokan paginya aku dibangunkan Lilian yang dengan panik menggoyang-goyangku. "Hei, bangun. Kita dalam masalah besar." Oh, jadi akhirnya mereka tahu kalau listriknya mati. Aku mengoper jaket dan pemanas dari koperku ke semua orang. Dengar guys, memakai pakaian berlapis di kondisi ini sangat vital. Kemudian aku melihat ke arah Seth dan Trevor. Bahkan kalau itu artinya memakai topi pom-pom pink dan mantel lapis pelangi milikku. Kami tak bisa menahan tawa. Setidaknya ada sesuatu yang menyenangkan untuk mencerahkan situasi ini. Kemudian kami mulai bersiap menghadapi bencana ini. Dan aku adalah kaptennya. Karena aku satu-satunya yang paling berpengalaman dengan salju di sini. Waktu sangat krusial, jadi dengan cepat ku periksa kran. Untungnya air masih mengalir. Meskipun alirannya agak lemah. Cepat, ambil apa saja yang bisa menampung air. Kita harus menyimpan sebanyak mungkin sebelum pipa-pipanya membeku. Lihat Seth dan Charlie. Begitu ceria dan genit. Menyusun barisan ember, begitu juga dengan Lilian. Sungguh menyakitkan mata. Jadi kulemparkan beberapa handuk ke mereka dan menyuruh mereka menghalau angin dari pintu dan jendela saja. Sementara Trevor akan menangani pasokan air ini sendiri. Sementara itu aku memeriksa kondisi makanan kami. Untungnya kami bawa cukup makanan untuk 2 hari. Tapi sekarang semuanya membeku. Dan kami harus menjatah makanan secukupnya. Karena tak ada yang tahu sampai kapan karantina ini akan berlangsung. Hei, apa sebaiknya kita gunakan perapian itu? Rasanya membeku. Meskipun sudah pakai jaket berlapis ini. Ya, Seth. Kenapa tak kau coba nyalakan? Kemudian kami mulai bersihkan semua barang di depan perapian, supaya Seth bisa mencobanya. Tapi aduh, aku berharap apa? Apa yang berhasil dia buat hanyalah kepulan asap hitam. Lupakan saja, mungkin ini hanyalah perapian untuk dekorasi saja. Kalian semua bodoh sekali. Kemudian Trevor muncul dari ruang bawah tanah dengan lengan penuh kayu. Tidak, pastinya itu bisa digunakan. Lihat, aku bahkan menemukan kayu dan arang tersimpan di sini. Biar ku coba. Dia berlutut di depan perapian dan mulai membersihkan sumbatan pada cerobong asap. Setelah beberapa waktu, perapiannya bekerja. Wow, kita punya api. Kami semua berteriak dan melompat-lompat seperti orang gila. Lalu Lilian melingkarkan lengannya ke leher Trevor dan menciumnya di pipi. Merona, dia langsung menyekanya dengan tangannya, yang kemudian meninggalkan noda arang di wajahnya. Itu lucu sekali. Trevor adalah pahlawan sejati kami sekali lagi. Sementara Seth, ya, syukur pada Tuhan aku tak lagi naksir pecundang itu. Kasihan Charlie, selamat bersenang-senang dengan cowok tak berguna itu. Berkat Trevor, kami sekarang punya api untuk tetap hangat dan untuk memasak makanan kami. Jadi, kami akan baik-baik saja, ya kan? Oh tidak, ponselku mati. Tepat saat kupikir aku dapat sedikit sinyal.
Sini-sini berikan padaku. Apa kau tak tahu kita bisa mengisi daya ponselmu dengan buah-buahan?
Seth mengambil ponsel dan charger Lilian lalu membawanya ke dapur. Sekarang itu aneh. Dia tak pernah terlihat seantusias itu melakukan hal yang berguna selama 2 hari terakhir. Kemungkinan dia berusaha menyelamatkan mukanya setelah kalah dari Trevor berulang kali. Aku menyaksikan dengan senang saat Seth menghujamkan charger ke sebuah pisang. Apa yang dulu kulihat di cowok ini ya? Trevor tertawa terbahak-bahak dan Charlie menghela napas lalu pergi menyiapkan sup untuk makan malam. Lilian melipat lengannya dan cemberut. Gimana? Ayo cepat! Seth menggerutu, lalu dengan ganas menikam charger itu ke pisang yang malang itu beberapa kali lagi. Ya ampun, itu sungguh bodoh dan terlalu lucu untuk menyuruhnya berhenti. Biarkan, itu tak akan berhasil. Kau merusak chargerku dan buang-buang makanan kita. Kuharap aku bisa melemparmu saja ke badai itu. Seth menjejalkan pisang tertumbuk itu ke mulutnya.
Siapa yang bilang ini terbuang? Ini makan malamku.
Kemudian dia pun menyingkir ke sudut ruangan dan menutupi dirinya sendiri dengan selimut. Lucu sekali. Hei, jangan khawatir. Aku punya power bank di kamarku. Akan kuambilkan. Oh, hebat. Kau ini memang pahlawan berjubah zirahku. Selalu datang dan menyelamatkanku tepat waktu. Dia mengedipkan mata lalu memeluk lengannya. Trevor langsung melihatku lalu melepaskan diri dari Lilian. Untuk apa itu tadi? Apa dia serius saat mengatakan dia suka padaku? Dia sudah menolak Lilian lebih dari 2 kali. Dan jujur saja, aku memang merasa ada getaran aneh saat kami berdua saja di ruangan. Aku tak tahu lagi. Kemudian malam itu, kami putuskan untuk berkumpul dengan perapian untuk tidur. Karena itu satu-satunya tempat hangat di dalam rumah. Jadi, aku dan cewek-cewek lainnya ke kamar mengambil matras dan selimut. Ya, apapun yang bisa berguna. Ya Tuhan, saudaraku ini memang payah. Lilian tertawa saat dia mengambil bantalnya. Charlie menyeringai. Benar banget, dia benar-benar menikam pisang itu sampai mati. Pisang yang malang. Aku terkekeh. Bercanda dengan mereka sebenarnya terasa menyenangkan. Kami terjebak di rumah ini bersama hanya Tuhan yang tahu sampai kapan. Jadi mungkin sebaiknya aku berhenti bersikap dingin ke mereka. Lagi pula, aku sudah benar-benar ilfil dengan Seth pecundang tak berguna itu sekarang. Bahkan Charlie pun tak memihaknya. Kami menata tempat yang nyaman di ruang keluarga dan menjalani beberapa hari berikutnya melewati badai. Di beberapa kesempatan, Lilian berusaha memeluk Trevor dengan alasan untuk meningkatkan suhu tubuh. Tapi, Trevor hanya menjauh darinya. Jadi pada akhirnya, Lilian membuat kami semua melakukan senam kardio yang memang berguna. Dan sangat lucu menyaksikan satu sama lain bersusah payah melakukan lompat bintang memakai 500 lapis pakaian. Charlie juga mengajari kami main beberapa permainan kartu untuk membunuh waktu, seperti solitaire dan go fish, yang kini aku sudah jago. Seth dan Trevor bahkan punya hobi baru mengukir kayu. Tapi hingga saat ini, aku belum bisa memastikan karya seni apa yang mereka buat. Dan akhirnya, setelah 4 hari terisolasi, badai sepertinya mereda. Kami mulai mendapat kembali sinyal ponsel yang stabil. Dan kami langsung menelpon orang tua kami untuk mengabarkan situasi ke mereka. Mereka bilang akan menjemput kami sesegera mungkin. Kami semua sangat senang dan juga bangga pada diri kami. Kami berhasil selamat dari badai hebat ini. Jadi, kalian mungkin bertanya-tanya apa ini akhir yang bahagia? Tak secepat itu. Saat kami semua sedang FaceTime dengan orang tua Lilian dan Seth, orang tuanya tiba-tiba berkata ke Charlie, "Terima kasih banyak sudah membantu kami menjaga anak-anak. Kami pasti akan tambahkan bonus yang pantas ke gajimu bulan ini." Kami semua tercengang. Aku tak tahu apa karena alasan yang sama, tapi kenapa ibu Seth membayar pacarnya? Lilian dengan kikuk mengucapkan selamat tinggal ke ibunya, lalu segera mengakhiri panggilan. Lalu mencoba mencairkan suasana dengan tawa palsunya. Kalian tahu kan bagaimana ibuku suka memberi para keponakannya tambahan uang saku kapanpun sedang bertemu mereka? Oke, kita makan siang apa hari ini guys? Hentikan, aku sudah tahu rahasiamu. Charlie dan Seth itu sepasang kekasih, kan? Tapi, kenapa ibumu membayarnya? Itu janggal. Lilian, Seth, dan Charlie semua berteriak bersamaan. Apa? Lilian memberi pandangan bertanya-tanya. Autumn, kamu ini ngomongin apa? Ya, aku minta maaf karena berbohong padamu. Tapi tidak, Charlie bukan pacar Seth. Dia itu guru les kami. Pembohong. Kalau begitu kenapa harus ketutup-tutupi? Orang tuaku tak percaya pada kita menginap di sini sendiri. Jadi mereka meminta Charlie mengawasi kami. Dan ayolah, kita ini 16 tahun. Kita tak butuh pengasuh. Itu memalukan. Ya, kupikir itu hanya kebohongan yang tak membahayakan, jadi aku setuju menuruti mereka. Maksudku, kita masih bisa senang-senang bersama, ya kan? Tapi siapa yang memberitahumu kami pasangan? Aku hendak menjawab, tapi kemudian Trevor menyeretku ke ruangan lain sementara memberitahu yang lainnya, dia perlu menenangkan diri dulu. Biar ku tangani ini. Sekarang kami sendiri, jadi ku beri tatapan aku menunggu padanya. Oke, dengarkan aku dulu ya. Aku mengangguk, kemudian dia menghela napas dan melanjutkan. Lilian memang menyukaimu dan dia memang benar-benar ingin membantumu dengan Seth. Tapi Seth tak tertarik. Jadi Lilian menjanjikannya uang saku senilai 1 bulan untuk berada di sini. Aku tak terlalu percaya, tapi coba kita lihat apa lagi yang dia katakan. Oke kalau begitu, tapi itu tidak mengubah fakta kalau ada sesuatu di antara Seth dan Charlie. Ingat, ciuman itu? Sebenarnya itu tak nyata. Aku hanya menantang Seth untuk melakukannya. Charlie memang benar-benar guru les mereka. Dia ngomong apa sih? Kurasakan ruangan itu mulai berputar-putar. Dengar, aku sungguh sangat menyukaimu, Autumn, dan aku tahu seharusnya aku tak bohong mengenai beberapa hal. Tapi itu hanya supaya kau memberiku kesempatan. Hanya saja, sekarang Lilian berpikir aku menyukainya, dan aku tak pernah bermaksud memberi kesan yang salah kepadanya. Teganya dia menipuku seperti itu, jadi aku berteriak padanya. Aku tak akan pernah menyukaimu. Tindakanmu membuatku semakin membencimu. Berkat dia, aku salah menilai Lilian, Charlie, dan Seth. Meski, jujur saja, Seth mungkin bukan pembohong, tapi tetap saja dia bukan tipeku sama sekali. Trevor memberi tatapan putus asa, sambil memandang ke bawah. Kemudian bergumam, "Maaf." Aku tak ingin mendengar permintaan maafnya yang menyedihkan. Jadi aku bergegas keluar dari sana dan duduk di teras yang membeku sampai akhirnya orang tuaku tiba. Setelahnya, semua kembali normal. Sekolah berlanjut. Lilian dan aku jadi teman baik dan dia sekarang memanggilku sahabat badai salju. Ah, sedangkan Trevor, kini aku menghindarinya sebisa mungkin. Aku tahu dia terus menatapku di sekolah. Bisa kurasakan lirikannya padaku. Tapi segera saat aku memandang ke arahnya, dia langsung berpaling. Kurasa aku memang suka padanya, oke? Aku tak setuju dengan apa yang diperbuatnya, tapi harus kuakui, butuh orang yang cerdas dan imajinatif untuk membuat rencana semacam itu secara spontan. Oke, baiklah. Aku akan memberinya kesempatan lagi dan kita lihat kemana arahnya. Dan jika akan ada lagi badai salju, ya, kurasa dia itu cowok handal yang bisa menemani.
Senin pagi itu seperti biasanya. Aku sedang berdiri di dekat lokerku saat cewek ini, si Leila, menghampiri. Menyandar ke loker di sebelahku dan berbicara padaku dengan suara sengau. "Hai ganteng, apa kau ada rencana sepulang sekolah?" Aku menoleh ke sekeliling dengan bingung. Hah? Apa dia bicara padaku? Biasanya cewek seperti Leila tak bicara dengan cowok sepertiku. Maksudku, ayolah, lihat dia. Dia itu cewek terseksi di sekolah. Sementara aku, Felix, hanya cowok kutubuku berwajah biasa saja. Dengan canggung aku menjawab, hai, aku cuma mengerjakan PR sepulang sekolah. Dah, kemudian ku tinggalkan dia di sana tercengang. Tapi itu tidak berhenti di sana. Sepulang sekolah, dia kembali menghampiriku dan bertanya, "Kau mau jalan denganku?" Diikuti dengan kedipan di mata. Tidak, terima kasih. Aku harus menyelesaikan makalahku tentang revolusi Perancis. Lalu aku jalan pergi. Ya ampun, apa dia sungguh mau jalan denganku? Tak mungkin, dia pasti sedang kalah taruhan atau semacamnya. Bahkan keesokan harinya, sekali lagi, dia langsung mengarah kepadaku dengan raut wajahnya yang tegas dan menakutkan saat aku sedang ngobrol dengan teman-temanku. Dan dengan nada serius dia berkata, "Dengar Felix, apa kau mau jadi pacarku?" Apa? Semua teman-temanku mulai bersorak. Aku sangat malu sampai aku mengusir mereka pergi untuk mendapatkan privasi dengan Leila. Aku tersanjung, tapi tidak. Dia merengut padaku. "Maaf, kau sadar kalau aku ini Leila Hall, cewek tercantik dan paling populer di seluruh sekolah. Belum lagi anggota pemandu sorak." Para pemandu sorak itu penuh drama. Dengan tenang aku menjawab, "Maaf, cuma kau ini bukan tipeku." Dia kembali berteriak, "Apa? Aku ini tipe semua orang." Aku hanya mengangkat bahu dan pergi. Ya Tuhan, itu canggung sekali. Tapi paling tidak dia sudah paham sekarang. Iya kan? Nah, salah. Karena masalah baru saja dimulai. Awalnya, banjir sampah email dan buletin. Kemudian panggilan telepon aneh dari spa dan salon kuku. Menanyakan jika aku membuat janji untuk hari itu. Saat jelas-jelas aku tak melakukannya. Melebihi itu semua ada akun Facebook palsu yang mulai menyebarkan fotoku yang tak menyenangkan. Mengupil saat di kelas bahasa Perancis. Menjulurkan lidah dengan aneh karena berkonsentrasi saat memeriksa makalahku. Bahkan ada klip gerakan lambat aku mengunyah seperti unta saat aku menikmati burgerku. Ya ampun, aku makan jelek sekali. Sementara sedang kutelusuri foto-foto ini, Leila melompat keluar dengan senyum lebar di wajahnya. Jadi pacarku, maka semua prank itu akan berhenti. Benar, tentu saja itu ulahnya. Dia tak punya kegiatan lain yang lebih baik. Aku menggelengkan kepala dan berkata, tidak, terima kasih. Ini masih lebih baik daripada bersama cewek menyebalkan sepertimu. Kemudian beberapa hari kemudian saat aku jalan ke sekolah, kulihat semua orang memberiku tatapan tak suka. Apa kemejaku terbalik atau apa? Tidak, jadi apa masalahnya? Aku bertanya kepada temanku dan ya ampun, Leila beritahu semua orang kalau aku menciumnya lalu mengghostingnya. Dia ini Harlequin di dunia nyata, seksi tapi bener-bener gila. Hanya orang sinting seperti Joker yang bisa mencintainya. Aku sudah muak dengan kelakuannya. Aku tak bisa biarkan dia membuatku terlihat seperti orang jahat untuk sesuatu yang tidak kulakukan. Jadi saat makan siang, ku datangi mejanya dan berteriak di hadapannya. Apa kau gila? Kenapa kau tak paham kalau aku tak menyukaimu? Kemudian aku berteriak supaya semua orang bisa mendengarku. Hei dengar, rumor soal aku mencium dan mengghosting Leila itu bohong. Dia mengarangnya karena aku menolak kencan dengannya. Jadi tolong simpan pandangan kotor kalian untuk orang lain. Terima kasih. Leila mendorongku dan lari keluar dari sana. Mungkin aku sedikit kasar, tapi itu ulahmu sendiri, Tuan Putri. Kemudian saat kelas bahasa Perancis dia absen tapi tak seorang pun tahu kemana perginya. Apa mungkin itu karena aku? Enggak, kemungkinan tidak. Tapi saat aku berjalan pulang, kulihat dia duduk sendiri di sebuah ayunan di taman bermain. Pergi saja Felix, cewek ini hanya membawa masalah. Aku berpikir dalam hati tapi ya ampun, dia kelihatannya sangat sedih. Jadi berikutnya yang ku tahu aku jalan mendekat dan duduk di ayunan sebelahnya. Aku tanya, kenapa kau tak ada di kelas bahasa Perancis? Tinggalkan saja aku, berhenti pura-pura kau peduli. Dengar. Aku menghela napas dalam-dalam lalu melanjutkan. Aku minta maaf karena teriak padamu di depan seluruh sekolah. Itu tak keren. Tapi apa yang kau lakukan padaku juga tak keren. Bisakah kita menganggapnya impas? Leila terdiam sebentar, tapi kemudian dia mengangguk dan tersenyum padaku. Nah, itu tak terlalu buruk ya kan? Jadi, sejak itu seterusnya semuanya baik-baik saja di antara kami. Dia bahkan tersenyum padaku di lorong. Kapanpun kulihat Leila, rasa hangat datang padaku dan aku tak bisa berhenti tersenyum. Pernah, aku bahkan habiskan seluruh istirahat makan siangku jalan-jalan mengelilingi sekolah supaya aku bisa melihat sekilas wajahnya. Ya ampun, kurasa aku sudah jatuh hati pada Leila. Tapi, kenapa sekarang? Aku berusaha mengabaikan perasaanku, berharap akhirnya rasa itu akan pergi. Tapi kemudian hari Valentine tiba, dan Leila, sebagai cewek populer, menerima banyak sekali mawar sampai bisa buka toko bunga. Menyebalkan sekali. Aku harus berbuat sesuatu. Jadi, sepulang sekolah aku ke rumahnya dengan beberapa coklat dan sebuah boneka beruang. Segera saat dia membuka pintunya, aku berseru. Aku tahu aku ini seorang yang sangat bodoh. Menolakmu adalah kesalahan besar. Apa kau mau jadi Valentine-ku? Aku berdiri di sana berwajah merah dan bersiap menerima penolakan. Tapi dia hanya merampas hadiah itu dari tanganku lalu berkata, "Iya, baiklah kalau begitu." Iya Tuhan, aku tak percaya ini. Aku, cowok kutu buku biasa bagi kalian, memacari cewek paling populer di sekolah. Cinta itu tak bisa diduga sama sekali. Aku terkesan betapa terbukanya dia perihal kutu bukuku. Dia bahkan nonton The Mandalorian denganku, dan jadi gemas kapanpun dia melihat Baby Yoda. Tapi satu hal yang tak berjalan lancar di antara kami. Ya, kalian bisa tebak, yaitu belajar. Leila sepertinya tak peduli dengan nilainya, dan aku tak ingin dia gagal. Jadi kutawarkan diri jadi tutornya. Tapi dia terus saja menguap dan menatap keluar jendela kapanpun kami mulai belajar. Felix, aku punya ide. Kenapa tak kau kerjakan saja PR untukku? Sementara itu, aku bisa berlatih memadu sorak karena kami akan ada kontes penting dan itu berarti sekali untukku. Seperti halnya kuis matematika bagimu. Apa? Dia serius? Ya Tuhan, aku benci berbuat curang seperti ini. Tapi dia memberiku tatapan memelas dan aku yang payah ini menyetujuinya. Terima kasih Felix, kau yang terbaik. Dia menciumku di pipi. Lalu langsung memberiku setumpuk PR. Aku bertanya padanya kenapa ada banyak sekali, dan dia menjelaskan kalau itu karena dia tak paham. Jadi dia membiarkannya menumpuk. Tapi tunggu dulu, kenapa ada bahasa Spanyol? Dia ada di kelas bahasa Perancis denganku, bukan Spanyol. Tapi dia hanya mengangkat bahu dan bilang orang tuanya memaksanya belajar itu di luar sekolah. Oh, kasihan sekali lah bu kecilku ini. Suatu hari seperti biasa, aku mampir ke rumahnya untuk mengambil PR-nya, tapi dia tidak ada di rumah. Itu aneh, hari ini tak ada latihan memadu sorak. Jadi, di mana dia? Aku melihat tumpukan yang dia minta ibunya untuk serahkan kepadaku, dan aku lihat beberapa lembar latihan bahasa Spanyol. Jadi aku berkata ke ibunya, "Oh, dia pasti sedang pelajaran bahasa Spanyol ya." Ibunya terlihat sedikit bingung lalu tertawa. "Kau tahu, Leila, dia terlalu keras kepala untuk tambah kelas." "Hah? Jadi makalah ini bukan miliknya? Kalau begitu, itu punya siapa? Dan kenapa?" Tiba-tiba aku merasakan perasaan tak nyaman menggelitik di bawah kulitku. Aku memutuskan untuk menemuinya nanti di sekolah. Keesokan harinya aku sedang berjalan melalui lorong mencari Leila saat tiba-tiba aku dengar beberapa cowok bersorak. Sesuatu soal mendapat nilai A untuk bahasa Spanyol. Tunggu dulu, apa dia bilang bahasa Spanyol? Aku menoleh untuk memeriksa siapa itu. Dan yang mengejutkanku, itu adalah Hector, kapten tim sepak bola. Hector terkenal karena tampan dan sebagainya, tapi juga karena payah dalam pelajaran sekolah. Seseorang pasti sudah mengerjakan PR untuknya. Dan kalian bisa tebak, seorang itu aku. Ini semua masuk akal sekarang. Leila dan Hector pasti sepasang kekasih. Mereka mungkin menarik, tapi mereka berdua payah dalam belajar. Jadi dia memperalatku untuk melakukan PR mereka berdua. Ini semua lebih masuk akal lagi sekarang. Hubungan ini tak ada yang nyata. Ini hanya sandiwara. Dan tak mungkin kubiarkan mereka lolos dari ini. Aku punya rencana sempurna untuk mengungkap mereka. Selama makan siang, aku duduk di meja paling dekat dengan Hector. Lalu aku mulai bermesraan dengan Leila. Aku menyuapinya kentang keju. Kemudian aku membelai rambutnya dan dengan suara keras berkata padanya betapa lembut rambutnya itu. Aku cepat melirik ke Hector, menunggu reaksinya. Tapi tak ada. Dia sepertinya lebih tertarik dengan burgernya daripada dia. Leila mengangkat alisnya padaku. Apa kau baik-baik saja? Kau bertingkah sangat aneh. Aku tertawa keras, kurangkulkan lenganku padanya lalu berkata, sebenarnya lebih ke berteriak. Oh, karena kau ini imut sekali. Tapi kenapa masih tak ada reaksi dari Hector? Dia dan temannya bahkan bersorak. Dan di perjalanan dia keluar kantin, dia bahkan mengacungi jempol padaku. Leila juga tak terlihat terpengaruh sama sekali. Ya ampun, seseorang tolong telepon The Academy. Karena mereka berdua layak mendapat Oscar. Rencanaku gagal total. Ini sangat bikin stres. Aku terdiam dan Leila tahu dan memberiku pandangan bertanya-tanya. Ada yang tak beres, kau bersikap sangat aneh. Oke, jika dia ingin tahu maka baiklah. Jadi aku berseru. Aku tahu kalau makalah bahasa Spanyol itu untuk Hector. Kalian bersama dan kau hanya memperalatku untuk melakukan semua PR kalian. Aku tak bodoh, kau tahu? Terima kasih sudah mengenalmu, tapi tolong jangan pernah lagi bicara padaku. Kemudian aku pergi tanpa membiarkannya mengucap sepatah kata pun. Ya, itulah akhir dari ceritaku. Cukup menyedihkan, iya kan? Aku bohong kalau aku katakan aku tak merasa kecewa soal itu. Aku sungguh menyayanginya. Biarlah, aku akan berkuliah beberapa bulan lagi dan aku akan bertemu cewek imut yang tak akan mengelabuiku untuk melakukan PR cowok lain. Oh, maaf teman-teman, ada yang menelponku. Ya Tuhan, itu Leila. Apa yang dia mau? Kita sudah putus, berhenti menelpon. Apa? Baiklah, janji kau akan biarkan aku sendiri setelah ini. Oke, tunggu, aku akan turun ke bawah. Ya Tuhan, Leila ada di depan pintu rumahku dan dia bersikeras tak mau pergi kecuali aku bicara dengannya. Jangan kemana-mana semuanya. Aku akan ceritakan pada kalian segera setelah aku kembali. Ya Tuhan teman-teman, kalian tak akan percaya apa yang Leila baru ceritakan padaku. Masalahnya adalah, tim pemandu soraknya harus banyak berlatih untuk kontes yang akan datang. Yang artinya mereka tak bisa belajar sesering biasanya. Karena itu, dia harus mencari seseorang yang mau mengerjakan PR mereka agar nilai mereka tak merosot. Dan itulah saat Leila muncul dengan ide untuk memenangkanku sebagai cowoknya. Semua godaan, lelucon itu, semua adalah bagian dari rencananya. Itu kebenarannya. Tapi Leila tak tahu mengenai lembar soal bahasa Spanyol, karena rekan timnya Harper yang memberi itu padanya. Ternyata Hector adalah pacar Harper. Tak menyangka itu ya kan? Tapi aku masih sangat marah pada Leila, karena dia tetap memanfaatkanku. Kemudian Leila mengambil beberapa makalah dan menunjukkannya padaku. Hah? Itu adalah PR dengan nilai B semua. Kemudian dia memberitahuku, oke, kuakui awalnya aku tak menyukaimu. Aku hanya mendekatimu untuk memanfaatkanmu. Tapi kemudian aku benar-benar jatuh hati padamu seiring aku mengenalmu dengan lebih baik, oke? Jadi, aku berhenti memberimu PR-ku dan aku kerjakan sendiri. Jadi, perasaannya terhadapku juga nyata? Aku tak percaya itu. Akhirnya aku memaafkannya dan sekarang kami lebih bahagia dari sebelumnya. Aku harus bilang, saat Leila dulu bicara padaku, kukira dia itu cewek gila seperti Harley Quinn, yang aku tak akan pernah suka. Tapi aku salah, ternyata akulah yang tergila-gila padanya. Jadi, ternyata aku lebih mirip dengan The Joker daripada yang kukira sebelumnya.
Finally, I'm out of that morbid place. Now let me tell you, sharing a cell with a dozen other noisy, stinky, grumpy dudes ain't fun. Anyway, here I am, free as a bird now. So no one's here to pick me up. Suppose I'd have to call Mom. It took me a few seconds to familiarize myself with my phone. Jeez. It'd been 4 years. It was a miracle I hadn't turned into one of those leg-cradling crazy dudes. How I ended up in there in the first place was a joke. All I did was take some stuff from 1 or 2 warehouses and sell them on. No big deal. Yo, Mom, it's your boy Cole. I'm out, and yeah, I need a lift home. I spoke the moment I heard Mom's voice. Cole, Do you have any idea what hell your actions have put your mother through? My dad was so good at overreacting, but I needed somewhere to stay, so I could handle him. But Dad, Mom, come on, I'm still your son. You have the heart to see me homeless and sleeping next to rats? There was a brief pause. Then Dad grunted, You can stay for a few weeks, but only for your mother's sake. Thanks, Dad. You're the man. Bingo. My parents were like putty in my hands. This was the life. I played video games all day, then partied all night. Then one night, I was getting ready to meet my friend Moose, when Mom told me that the pizza delivery guy was at the door. I shouted down to her, You can shout me this one, and I'll get the next. I finished getting ready, and I must say, I was looking smooth. I strode down into the kitchen and grabbed a slice of pizza. Dad was sitting there glaring at me over his report. If you can't afford to pay for items, then I suggest you don't order them. He looked at the pizza slice in my hand. Mom walked up behind him and placed her hands on his shoulders. Darling, give him some more time. He's still adjusting to outside life. Thanks, Mom. You're the greatest. I gave her a greasy pizza kiss on the cheek. Any chance you can lend me some dough? Dad shook his head and sighed, while Mom went over to her purse and passed me some money. Hey, there'd be plenty of time to get a job and be responsible. Right now, I had 4 years of lost time to make up for. Once, I borrowed Dad's car. I swear I only had a couple of beers, but the world glitched out and went all blurry. The next thing I know, I'd driven straight into the neighbor's front yard. Oops. I opened my eyes the next morning to a killer headache, so all I wanted was some black coffee and a plate full of bacon. But I got Dad's death stare instead. Just when I think you can't get any more irresponsible, you took my car without asking, drank too much, then drove into Gloria's beloved rose bushes. Chill out, Dad. I'll fix it later, I said as I raided the fridge for food. You're not the one having to pay for the damages. We've made our decision. You have 1 week to get out of our house. Now hold up. I had 0 places to go. I couldn't stay with Moose, as he was crashing in his sister's garage, and I didn't know anyone else. How could they? I gotta chill a bit, so I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through dating apps. Then I matched with this stunning blonde called Trudy. She's a little older than me, but her family is rolling in dough, and also, she has her own business. Not only that, but she's hotter than an agitated dragon. So yeah, her photos seemed a little grainy, but guess the retro trend was in. Looks like I had it both ways, love and money. I have quite a face, but since I love beer and pizza, and without any dedication for the gym, I don't have the perfect body. But I needed to keep this girl interested. So I told her I was a tall dude with an impressive six-pack, who just graduated and was on the lookout for a girl with brains as well as beauty. This girl was actually pretty easy to talk to. She sent me pictures of her latest purchases, like phones, expensive watches, and designer clothes, along with the promise that when we started dating in person, she'd buy me whatever I wanted. Result: after 4 days of face pics and my priceless conversation, Trudy was smitten, and she sent me a message saying, Cole, I haven't known you long, but I know how I feel. I love you. X. Okay, that's really fast, but yeah, I've won the lottery over here. Hey, maybe she lied about her look too, but it didn't matter. She's rich. So I replied to her, I know, babes. I feel it too. X. We immediately arranged to meet in person and decided on a yellow dress code. I looked around the park trying to spot this gold mine, but all I could see was some old lady in a yellow dress. Okay, coincident, but why is she heading my way? The closer she got toward me, the wider her grin was. Cole, right? It's me, Trudy. What? No. How come this corny, overweight, wrinkly old lady be Trudy? I was expecting the blonde beauty from the photos, not Big Bird. Once I got over the initial shock, we sat down and talked. Turns out my dream girl was in her 50s. All the descriptions and photos of her were true, but 30 years ago. She was clearly in the middle of a midlife crisis or something. You're not the same either, she sneered. You're barely taller than me, And where's the gym body? All right, fair enough. I fake smiled. Yeah, despite you looking different, I still find you very beautiful. That night, I tossed and turned. This was all so unexpected. Trudy was totally not my type. But dating her might not hurt. She was rich. And also, I had to move out tomorrow. So at least she'd pay for me. With that, I sent her a message. Babe, you're beautiful, and I want to make us official. X. The next day, I moved in with Trudy. Now, let me tell you something. Her apartment was lavish. It was full of the latest tech. Crazy. Seeing as she was so old, she probably didn't know how to use them. She worked a lot, so most of the time I was home alone. And I was free to watch cartoons and movies, munch on potato chips, and play as many video games as I felt like. One time, I was watching a movie when the door opened. And in stepped this glary-eyed dude. I shouted at him, "Hey dude, you have the wrong apartment." He tutted and said, "I can assure you that I don't. I'm Alex, Trudy's son, and you must be Cole. I would say it's a pleasure to meet my mother's gold-digging boyfriend in the flesh, but unfortunately, it's not." What? Trudy has a son? And by the looks, he's even older than me. And how dare he called me a gold digger? I suppose I was, but still, he had no right to call me it. Even worse, he refused to leave. He just sat in the kitchen and waited for his mom to return. Then he had a heated argument with her in which he referred to me as a loser and a bum. Things weren't any better with my parents either. Dad told me to be independent and get a real job, not a sugar mama. And Mom was just crying. Whatever. This was their fault for kicking me out in the first place. What did they expect me to do? Live under a bridge? Few days after I met Alex, Trudy insisted on dragging me along to his lame work launch thing. As soon as I got there, I went straight to the food. I was stuffing a mini quiche into my mouth when this girl walked up alongside me and said, "Great minds think alike." I gave her a gormless look. Then she pointed at the food. We both headed straight for the food. I laughed at that. This girl was funny. And hot. Really hot. Her name is Beatrice, and she works for that loser Alex. After that, I started seeing a lot more of this Beatrice girl, as she often popped over with Alex. And while he was arguing with his mom, usually about me, I chatted to her. That was how I found out she wasn't having it easy either. She was behind on her rent because her truant brother had stolen the money and spent it all. I felt bad for her, so I took the envelope full of cash that Trudy had given to me, and I handed it to her. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to buy anything new for a few weeks, but it was worth it just to know that she'd be okay. Truth was, I was really falling for Beatrice, but I couldn't do anything about it, as I was with Trudy, and I was relying on her handouts. Soon, things became stinky. I came out of the shower to see Trudy standing there with my phone in her hand. "How could you?" She threw it at me. Yeah, so she'd read all of the messages I'd sent to Moose, saying how I didn't find her remotely attractive and I was only with her for a free ride. "Trudes, my babes, come on, those messages were just me joking." I laughed. "I was just messing around." "Shut up, you liar! You find me hideous. Alex was right. You were only using me for my money. And worse, you never went to college. Instead, you were in jail." I was about to lay on the cold charm when Alex and Beatrice bursted into the room. Alex shouted at me, "How lowlife you are. What a shameless gold digger. It's appalling. I've told her to report you to the cops." Beatrice interrupted. "No, don't do that. What Cole did was wrong, but he's not all that bad. Please." I was so moved. Took a look around. Trudy was crying. Alex was so furious his eyes were bulging. And Beatrice, well, she just looked disappointed. I then packed my stuff and left in shame. Well, that was a few months ago, and I have a decent job now. Even though I live back at home, I pay my way, and I'm saving up to put a deposit down on my own place. I never should have used Trudy like that. She might be old, but she still has feelings, and the way I treated her wasn't right. I was undeniably a douchebag back then. All I want is to have a happy life with Beatrice. I really love her, which is why I asked her to be my girlfriend, but she rejected me. Man, it stung, but I'm not giving up. Perhaps she might give me a chance once she sees I've changed. I can't fix the past. All I can do now is improve myself and keep on rolling forward.
I was standing outside of college chatting to my friends when suddenly a police car pulled up, and from the car's window, a handsome police officer waved at me, then told me to hurry up. I excitedly waved back at him, said goodbye to my friends, and rushed to him in front of their admiring eyes. So, I'm Daisy, and the handsome cop is Levi, my amazing, brave boyfriend. We first met at the library in town. I was there for my studies, and he was looking for some crime books. We started dating, and now a year later, we're madly in love. There are so many things that I love about dating a cop, such as seeing him in his uniform. It never fails to make me beam with pride, and I'm not gonna lie, he has abs of steel due to all of his workouts. Swoon! Besides, he has the cutest quirky habits. Like, when we go to a restaurant or the theater, he always scans it first to check if it's safe. But as good as being with him is, there are a few bum points, such as his unpredictable work schedule. Day, night, weekends, you name it, he works it. Then, when we finally managed to plan something, he sometimes got an emergency phone call and had to bail on me. This sucked, especially when it was my sister's wedding. But without a doubt, the most annoying thing of all is his popularity with other girls. They're like moths to a flame around him, especially this one colleague of his, Ellie. One time, Levi brought his colleague Brad over while I was there studying. I heard Brad remark,
Levi, I never thought you'd end up with a bookworm. I thought you'd end up with Ellie. Everyone can see you two have a strong connection.
Levi tried laughing it off and saying that it was nonsense, but the jealousy rose up in me. By the time Brad left, I was really upset about it, so I packed up my books and went to leave. He stopped me and asked me what was wrong. Trying my best not to cry, I blurted out, "Why aren't you with Ellie? You spend all your time with her." He shook his head, smirked, then said,
Ignore Brad. He's a joker. And yeah, I spend time with Ellie. I work with her. But it's you I love, and everyone knows it. In fact, why don't you move in? Then we can spend more time together.
My sadness was soon overlapped by happiness, and I jumped into his arms and squealed out, "Really? Yes, for sure!" This was so exciting. I moved in a few weeks later, and at first, living with Levi was the best thing ever. But over time, there were little niggling things that started to play on my mind. For example, one day I was chatting to the new neighbor when Levi arrived home and in a stone-cold voice demanded I go inside. Then he sternly told me never to talk to strangers. But come on, I'm a naturally chatty, friendly girl who loves talking to people and making new friends. I don't know, I guess it was me overreacting? I mean, he was just looking out for me, right? But then his need for control worsened when once I arranged to meet my friends in town. Levi was going to come too, but then he had a last-minute work call and couldn't. When I said I'd just get a taxi, he freaked out and told me I couldn't go. After I got upset about it, he reluctantly agreed to let me go. He called a reputable taxi firm to pick me up, then told me I had to be back by 10 p.m. But after a few drinks, I lost all sense of time. I was just having too much fun. I was dancing with my friend when Levi stormed in, grabbed my arm, and pulled me out of there. Everyone was staring at us, not helped because he was in his cop uniform. I even heard one man tut out,
"It's always the innocent-looking ones, isn't it?"
It was so embarrassing. At home, I sat there brooding while he got me a glass of water. When he tried passing it to me, I jumped up to my feet and screamed at him, "You're being ridiculous, and thanks to you, everyone in the bar thinks I'm some sort of criminal. I don't need a curfew."
"It's not like that."
He sighed, but I was so upset, I brushed past him and slammed the bedroom door behind me. I cried myself to sleep. I hated arguing with him. I gave him silent treatment throughout the next day. But then in the evening, he arrived home with a gift box and apologized for making me sad. That was so sweet. I gave him a hug and said, "I'm sorry too." Then I opened the box. It was a really lovely watch. I noticed that it had an extra button on it, but I didn't think much of it.
I stared down at it admirably as he fixed it on my wrist. That's how caring my boyfriend was. So I decided to buy him something too. The next day after college, I went to the mall. Suddenly, Levi called me and asked me where I was. I wanted the gift to be a surprise, so I told him I was at home. Crossly, he said,
Daisy, don't lie to me. I know you're at High Hill Shopping Mall. Come home at once.
Huh? How did he know that? I gave up on finding a gift and went home. When he got back, I asked him how he knew where I was, and I saw him briefly glance at my watch. Then, he admitted that he had GPS fitted to it, but it was only so he could keep me safe. What? I wasn't a kid anymore. How could he use it to follow me? We had a huge fight, and I told him he was controlling and crazy, and he needed to stop treating me like a little kid. Then I shut myself away in the bedroom. The next day, when I woke up, Levi had already left for work. I was so wound up, so I decided to go for a jog to clear my head. Obviously, I left the watch at home, and also my phone. When I got back, I was about to head for the shower when I heard my phone ringing. It was Levi. Then I noticed that I had 50 missed calls and a ton of messages from him. What? This wasn't normal. I'd only been gone for an hour at the most. Anyways, I put the watch back on, then suddenly the door banged open and Levi stormed in, and he yelled at me,
Are you okay? Where did you go? Why didn't you answer my calls?
This sucked, as I love him, but I knew I couldn't live like this anymore. So I told him I needed my freedom, then headed for the door. He looked so mad as he grabbed my hand, pulled me into the upstairs room, then locked me inside. I banged on the door and pleaded with him to let me out.
Daisy, trust me. This is for your own good. You're not safe out there.
Then I heard his footsteps trail off and knew he'd left. I curled up into a ball and cried myself to sleep. When I woke up, it was getting pretty dark out there. I searched the room for something to help me and found a rope ladder. The perks of living with a prepared cop. I used it to climb out of the window, but as soon as I reached the ground, 2 men appeared. Then suddenly, the world turned black. When I opened my eyes, I realized that I was in a dark, damp room and I was tied up. The 2 men were sitting by the door and talking to each other. I began to panic. I'd seen enough movies to know that this was bad. One of the men looked over at me, and I quickly closed my eyes. But it was too late. He'd seen I was awake, so he walked over and said,
Welcome back, sweetheart.
Panicked, I asked, Who are you? Why me? He sniggered out,
Yes. If only that boyfriend of yours was here, then we could ask him.
Then he picked up his phone, and seconds later, I heard Levi's voice in the other line.
Hello? Remember me? We seem to have something of yours.
I heard the fear in Levi's voice.
Let her go! Your wife's death wasn't her fault. It's your fault she's dead. Now it's your turn to lose the woman you love. Come here alone, if you want to see her face again. And don't even think about calling for backup.
He hung up the phone, then peered down at me before he kicked the empty barrel next to me. I jolted back, and he laughed. It was terrifying. Not long after that, they dragged a beaten-up man into the room. Levi! Oh no! Levi managed to look at me, forced a smile, and slurred out,
My flower girl. Don't worry, I'm here now.
The gang laughed at this. Then he stopped in front of Levi and said,
I think you and me need a little chat. Let's call it man business.
I knew I needed to find a way to help him. But what? That's when I looked down at my watch. It already had GPS, so perhaps the extra button did something. I struggled to press it, which wasn't easy with roped hands, trust me. But eventually I managed to. By this point, Levi was unconscious, and I started sobbing. I didn't want to lose him. Not like this. The one man set something up next to him. Oh no! It was a bomb!
He sneered out, "You have 30 minutes left to say goodbye to your lover, boy." Then the man left. I called Levi's name and sobbed out how I loved him. I honestly thought we were both going to die there. And watching the timer count down to our doom was the worst feeling ever. Suddenly, the door burst open. At first, I thought it was those men back again. But instead, Brad and his team rushed over, saw the bomb, then quickly got both me and Levi out of there. I was pushed to the ground just before there was a big bang, and the house exploded. On the way to the hospital, Ellie explained everything to me. So, turns out this involved a difficult criminal case that happened last year. Levi had been investigating a group of drug dealers, but an incident happened, and the gang's leader's wife accidentally fell from the building and died. They arrested most of the dealers, but some got away, including the gang leader. Then recently, Levi had received images of me outside college and our house from them, and took this as a threat to my safety. Well, that explained all of Levi's controlling and weird behavior. I felt so bad for misjudging Levi. He was the sweetest, bravest man, and I loved him so much. I stayed by his side as he recovered in hospital. Then one day, he finally opened his eyes, looked at me, and muttered out, "There's my flower girl." I hugged him, gently, of course. It was such a relief to know he was going to be okay. The gang is still out there somewhere, but hopefully they'll catch them soon. I do worry about it, but it's okay, as I know I have Levi to protect me. After all, he's my real-life action hero, and I know that with him by my side, we'll get through anything.
Hi, that's me, Maxine, hiding behind some bushes and spying on a girl. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a crush on her, nor am I a total psychopath. I'm just doing a favor for my mate Damon. But if I'd known how crazy this was all going to get, I'd never have agreed to help him. It all started when Damon fell in love with this girl, Sophie. She had this mysterious charm that made him want to talk to her right away. And he did. She didn't even glance at him. She just walked away. Ouch. I didn't like her one bit. She was so stuck up. But Damon didn't give up that easily. He tried all kinds of tricks to get her attention, even waiting for the bus with her, even though he had a car. Nothing worked, though, and this made him miserable. He begged for my help, but I said, "No way." Then he said, "Aw, come on, Maxine, you're a girl, so just befriend her or something. Maybe you can find out what she likes, her fave foods, music, etc. Then I can try to impress her. Please, I'm begging you. I'll even lend you my Nintendo Switch for a month if you agree. You can't say no to that." He had me at that. I'd do anything to get a Nintendo Switch. Fine, it's a deal, but don't blame me if it doesn't work. So after class that day, I searched for Sophie. She was at the bus stop, and I was about to approach her when suddenly she walked away. I decided to follow her, and on the way, she stopped to help an old lady cross the road. Wow, I was surprised. For someone with such a cold face, she had a pretty warm heart. Maybe she wasn't so bad after all. After that, she started walking towards the park, and by then it was starting to get dark. What was she doing? She sat down on a bench in a creepy part of the park, almost like she was waiting for someone. I hid behind a bush so she wouldn't see me, but I was totally freaked out. Suddenly, 2 guys appeared and started talking to her, but they didn't seem like her acquaintances. Oh my gosh, she looked panicked. I had to help. I quickly shouted, "Help! Officer, please help! There are 2 guys bothering us!" Obviously, there was no officer, but it worked. The 2 guys ran off, and I rushed over to make sure Sophie was okay. She was surprised to see me, but then she hugged me and thanked me for saving her. Her whole body was shaking. She must have been terrified. I walked with her back to our dorm, and she told me how she liked to come to the park at night because it was so peaceful. I told her it was clearly dangerous and that she probably shouldn't go alone anymore. Then we exchanged numbers, and after that we became quite close. Close enough. That was a few days later I told her Damon had a big crush on her, and asked if she'd maybe go on a date with him, but she just shook her head and said she wasn't ready. Her eyes looked sad, so I didn't push it any further. Maybe she'd just gone through a bad breakup? I didn't ask her again, but one night I was heading to her dorm for a movie night when I heard two people fighting. It was Sophie and some guy, and she was crying. It looked like the guy was about to hit her, so I ran over and said, "Hey, what the heck do you think you're doing? Leave her alone or I'll call the cops." He just laughed at me and said to Sophie, "We're not done yet." Then he stormed off. I asked Sophie if she was okay and who that guy was. Then she told me how he was her ex and that he kept trying to get back together with her, but she wasn't interested. As she told me this, she started to cry and said, "Because of him, I've become so scared and anxious. I'm even too scared to sleep at night." I felt so sorry for her and told her I was here for her and that she could call me anytime. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that because that's exactly what she started doing. Every night she'd call me and we'd end up chatting until 3 a.m. I was so exhausted, but I wanted to help her. She seemed so anxious all the time. Damon knew we chatted a lot, but he'd stopped asking about Sophie. It seems he'd lost interest and was more worried about me looking like a zombie from The Walking Dead. "You seriously need some sleep, Maxine. Leave Sophie be. She's clearly got issues. It's probably best to not get too involved." Easier said than done, though. But that night I decided not to answer her call. I went to bed early, and when I woke up the next morning, I had about 20 missed calls and 50 texts from her. Oh my gosh! Some of them said she was so lonely and that I'd abandoned her. Then one said, "If you don't pick up, then I will end it all." Okay, this was crazy. I immediately called her, but she wouldn't pick up. I rushed to her dorm, but nobody answered. I was panicking by then and bashing on the door, screaming, "Sophie, open this darn door!" But there was still no answer. I was terrified she'd done something bad, so I asked some students to help me bash down the door, and that's when she opened the door. I've never been so happy to see someone alive. I ran over to hug her, but she looked so annoyed. "What are you doing here? You're making a scene," she said. "What? I was so worried about you. You said you were going to..." But she interrupted me and said, "You need to get some sleep, Maxine. You seem insane." I couldn't believe it. After all those calls and texts, she was the insane one, not me. I didn't feel like yelling back, so I just left her. I needed some space. She tried to apologize to me over the next few days, but I didn't want to be around her. She even texted me saying if I wouldn't be her friend anymore, then life wasn't worth living. I was so tired of her threats, so I just ignored them. And then things got worse. A few days later, Damon and I were studying together when Sophie called me and said she was in the hospital. She told me that she had a brain tumor and they'd just done a biopsy to see if it was malignant or benign. I couldn't believe it. She asked me if I could pick her up, and I said, of course. This was so scary. I told Damon, and he just said, "I think she's making it up, Maxine. How could she suddenly have a tumor? You guys just had a fight, and suddenly she's in the hospital? Come on, think about it." I was shocked. "Damon, how could you? You're such a jerk." Then I ran off and arrived at the hospital to find Sophie sitting outside wearing a hospital cap. She said her hair had been shaved off for the biopsy, and I asked to see the scar, but she wouldn't show me. She said she'd get a headache if she took it off. I was just glad that she was okay, and gave her a ride home. We made up, and I decided to look after her for the day. She seemed so weak. I couldn't bear to see her suffering. I called Damon to tell him that he owed me an apology and told him about Sophie. And he just said, "Oh, wow, okay, sorry, hope she's okay then." But then a few days later, he called me and said, "Listen, Maxine, Sophie's a liar. She didn't have a biopsy. I bumped into her earlier and her cap fell off, and she has a full head of hair under there. No way it would grow back that fast." Why would she lie to me? I didn't get it. I needed to know the truth, so after class I went to her dorm. She opened the door right away, and sure enough, she had all her hair intact. She probably knew Damon had told me, and so hadn't even bothered to keep up the lie. This made me furious. Straight away, I started shouting at her. Honestly, Sophie, what is wrong with you? Why would you pretend to be sick like that? Friends don't do that. Sophie grabbed my hand and said, Maxine, I'm sorry. I was desperate. I only did it because I missed you and wanted you to care about me again. I took it too far, though. Please forgive me. Are you crazy? I screamed. I was worried sick about you. Are you sure there's not something wrong with you? Sophie started grinning in a weird way and said, The only thing wrong with me is that I'm in love with you, Maxine. She wouldn't let go of my hand, and I just stared in shock. What did you say? You heard me. I love you. Then she started to manically laugh and said, I've loved you since the day we first met. I knew you were following me, so I pretended to be in danger so you'd come rescue me. Even my ex-boyfriend was fake. He was just one of my friends pretending. Can't you see? I'm willing to do just about anything to get your attention. If that's not love, then what is? This couldn't be happening. I tried to stay as calm as possible and said, Listen, Sophie, I'm flattered. Really, I am. But I'm straight. I see you as just a friend, okay? But Sophie wouldn't give up. She grabbed my hands again and said, How do you know that? You didn't even try to love me yet. Just give me a chance and I'll show you what true love looks like. I tried to let go of her hands, but it was impossible. Sophie grabbed my hands tighter and tighter that it even began to hurt. She looked me in the eyes and, oh my God, it's like I couldn't recognize her anymore. She looked like a crazy person, like a psychopath. Then she began to speak in a really creepy tone. You can't get away from me. You're mine now. I was so scared. I needed to get out of here, so I pushed her really hard that she fell on the ground and I ran like a mad woman out of there until I was back in my dorm. Then I called the police, but by the time they reached her dorm, she was gone. I told them what happened and showed them a photo of her, and you won't believe it. Apparently, I wasn't the only girl Sophie had attacked. There were other girls, too. After that night, I was terrified. Everywhere I went, it felt like someone was watching me. Then one evening, after my shift at work, I was walking through the park back to my dorm when I heard someone up ahead. I knew right away it was Sophie, but she wasn't alone. She was with some guys. They spotted me and started heading towards me. But I ran as fast as I could, and luckily the police were just outside the park and went in and arrested them. Sounds like a coincidence, right? Well, it wasn't. Sophie's not the only one who can fool people. I knew Sophie was stalking me, so I told the police, and together we created this plan to catch her, and voila, it worked. Sophie, if you're watching this, I wish you all the best, but let's not meet ever again. That's enough stalking for one